Hey everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day today. My name is Garrett Loria, and I run the project called Mirage Island. And today I'm going to talk about the new Mirage Island track called Twisted Experiment that's coming up on this upcoming Shadow Wulf compilation, and I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my favorite parts of the track, and then also talk a little bit about the project, so you can get an idea of kind of how I source inspiration for the music, and also we'll take a listen to a couple of my favorite parts. So anyhow, the project itself is a little bit of a funky one. I collaborate on a lot of different things with it, and one of the collaborative elements is that I've been writing stories actually with one of my friends for a while now, which is where I source a lot of the inspiration for the music. So I a lot of the time kind of come up with a story with characters and some kind of development issue, and then I use that as kind of my springboard for writing the music. And then I've also been kind of working on adding a visual element over time that I'd like to be sort of part of it too. So the Mirage Island project, it goes all kinds of different places. The stories are really different from each other, different characters, different worlds even. Some of them are really serene and about personal development, and other ones are like technologic, and then there's stuff that is like this, which is like a much darker story, and the track reflects it. So I get inspiration for my stories from all over the place. I mean, I'm a really big fan of 50s and 60s sci-fi, as well as like classic fantasy, and then I'm pretty into like cult and obscure media from everywhere. So I'm kind of just hearing stories, synthesizing them together, creating characters, setting them in different places, and then using that as kind of a springboard for the rest of the art. So anyhow, that's the same thing with this song, and it totally has a story behind it that I had in mind before I started writing the track, actually. So this particular one is a fantasy story about like an evil being, like an evil kind of an overlord, who is this kind of master of the dark arts, and he does experimentation on humans and living like other beings. There's like aliens and other worlds in the Mirage Island universe, so he's experimenting on beings is the point, and it's it's twisted experiments. So anyways, I didn't come up with the whole character by myself. I kind of sourced it from a book called Darth Plagueis by James Luceno, which you can check out here. It's totally a Star Wars extended universe book, but it's very good. And the main character in it, Darth Plagueis, is exactly that. He's this like master of the dark arts. He's experimenting on humans. Everybody's that's in the dark kind of community is looking up to this guy, and he's kind of so smart that it's scary, right? That's kind of the element. So I thought that was a really powerful kind of a figure, and wanted to basically include a figure like that in some of the stories. So that's kind of where I started. And my favorite portion of this probably is the whispering that's happening here. So I'm going to kind of turn it up so you can hear what's going on, and tell you a fun story about it. But essentially, so the whispering's coming in here, and I'll kind of show you more of it. Turn it up. So the whispering's obviously supposed to be the character that we're, talking about here, and I actually did the whispering myself. I did it really late at night after my roommates went to bed, and I wanted to get this like super whisper, so I like put a blanket over my head with this microphone and just got like right up on it. I was just eating the microphone, and then I spoke the lines and processed it and kind of crossed my fingers and hoped that I would sound like a evil spirit, and it worked. So anyways, we can kind of listen to it build back up here and see kind of where it goes. You can hear the content's pretty demonic here. I'll solo it here so you can hear a little bit.
Human emotionalism is somewhat problematic.
Yeah, human emotionalism is somewhat problematic. So the song builds up a lot here, kind of have an early build up, and I wanted to talk about that synth next, actually. It's definitely kind of the other great part of this song is the lead. It just kind of opened up there. Now it's dying away. It's a digital synth, but it's an analog emulator by Arturia, and I think it really sounds nice. So kind of listen to what happens here. You know, fire and brimstone, all that going on. I don't know if you heard the drop, scientific studies. That's kind of at the root of all this, you know. So the synth itself, I'll turn it back down here and talk a little bit more about the synth. And I unfortunately can't show you anything exciting about the synth because it is an analog emulator, and it really emulated the kind of like drifting that an analog synth does, where it's not really perfect. It kind of changes over time a little bit, and if you leave it going for like an hour, like it sounds kind of different when you come back than when you left it. So that kind of happened with this song, and I had to record it all in one take because the melody line was kind of drifting, and if I tried to chop it together, then it just didn't make sense anymore. So that was kind of a fun thing about this song, and the filter on that instrument really like makes a massive difference. Like when it comes down during that breakdown or earlier, there still sounds like there's so much movement going on in the song, even though there was like literally just like bass and drum, and that's like pretty much it, and some like weird sounds. But it really has like this movement still going because of the weird partials that are kind of like sticking out through the filter. I'm not really sure why that instrument does that, but I thought it was a really, really cool thing that it still kind of didn't filter all of it, and I just kind of like compressed the remaining amount of high frequencies after I applied the analog filter, and was really surprised with all the material that was there, and it gave that drop some energy. So I'm a really big fan of anti-drops like that, you know, the kind where people like howl at the moon at a live event. So I figured kind of what better than for Shadow Wulf to do kind of this howl at the moon drop. You know, I'm really excited to be a part of this compilation. It's a really big launch. There's huge tracks on it. I think Twisted Experiment is kind of a perfect track for it, and fits the vibe and brings the vibe. So anyhow, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the track and my secrets on it. And this is Garrett Loria from Mirage Island. I am at Garrett's a Geek in the chat, signing off. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Thanks a lot.